Alright, welcome everybody, and recently I was tasked to write a better Superman story than George Perez. Now, I'm not saying I'm a better writer, but I really know what the kids want. So, here it goes. So, first of all, gotta start simple. Gotta start, it's the Fortress of Solitude. You know, everything's kind of hanging out, everything's normal. Superman's looking in the mirror, he's, posing, he's all like, I'm Superman. And then all of a sudden, boom! There's an explosion, right? See? So, he's like, what the? And then we have the rubble, right? Because, everything's a disarray. And then we cut to the Daily Planet, and it says, Soup's dead. Because, that's the biggest thing. If we all know about comic collecting, the death of Superman is probably the most expensive comic that has ever been produced. And then it cuts back to the rubble, but you see something off in the distance, right? Because, you have to foreground conflict, right? Because if you don't, then people won't understand what's going on. And then it cuts to a villain. Here we have Brainiac. See, the key to writing a Superman story and to staying relevant is to change up the villains. You see, Brainiac, he's usually some, alien off in space or something. But no. Why don't we reinvent Brainiac? Here he is. He's an actual brain. He's got some sunglasses. And he's got a mustache. So, gotta reinvent the characters. Here he is. He's like, yes, Superman is dead. But then, in the rubble, you hear, not quite. And then the next panel is interesting because, every character needs their catchphrase. Superman has his, douche! So, there he is there. And then the next panel here, we have an exaggerated fist. Because, people reading comics, they don't really know what's going on half the time. So you really need to show what is happening in the most exaggerated way possible. So here, Superman's fist, 50 feet tall, Brainiac, super small, getting punched in the face by the fist. That's important. But then next, you have Brainiac, he's dead on the ground, and he's like, no more. Because you gotta show Superman's superiority to everything. And then the next panel, Superman's like, you are a bad thing. Because, you need morals in your story. Because if there's no morals, the kids won't read it, parents call you Satanist, things won't work. But you need to establish the next scene. Silly Superman, this isn't over. And then he dies. See, that's a ghost. It's like a hunter, I guess. So he flies off, and then everything's back to normal. So you have the Fortress of Solitude, Superman's playing the drums, he's in the super band, he's playing the stand-up bass, boom, boom, boom. It's pretty good. But then he hears something. What's that, he says? And then it cuts to outside. Atomic bomb is being flown into the Fortress of Solitude. Superman sees this, he uses his X-ray vision, his supervision, to see that there's a dude on the bomb. OMG, there's a dude on the bomb, he says. And then it cuts to the guy on the bomb. OMG, I pooped. Because, you really need to show the reality of the situation. And if you're on an atomic bomb, you're pretty much going to poop. So then, here we have one of Superman's new powers that I've introduced. Because a superhero needs new superpowers every time you write him. Here he is, expanding his jaw like a snake, and he eats the atomic bomb. It explodes in his stomach, a la The Mask, and if you want, you could put like a witty kind of comment to that, like in The Mask, where he says, that's a spicy meatball, right? That's a good one. And then here we have Superman, he spits him out. The guy's like, man, thanks, Superman. Superman's like, who did this? It was Lex Luthor. So you have to set up the next villain. Because comics need arcs. And then you have, Superman's catchphrase, that douche. So you have that. But then you need to introduce who the villain is. So you have Lex Luthor. He's standing on a pile of dead bodies. And then you have a little bit of descriptions around him, right? Evil mastermind seen here on a mountain of dead enemies. And then his mommy loves him. He is most likely the coolest dude around. And his suit is made of polar bears and he eats coals and poops diamonds. So you need to establish the character this way. And then next it cuts to where Lex Luthor is, and notice the L building. Now, this is something new to the Superman universe, I feel, because when you make a toy line, companies need interesting things to make toys out of. Because if they don't, then, the toy line's going to fail. So, you have this L building, easy to produce, it's a giant L, and the kids are going to love it. Kids will freak out over the L building. And then you have Lex Luthor, I don't know, looking out on grassy knolls, because this, I really don't know what's going on there. He's just looking out. And then he cuts to him, I hate Superman. That's motivation. That is his motivation. He hates Superman. And then him walking down the office, OMG, he is totally uncool. That is him pissed, more motivation. And then it cuts to him, he's like, I know. But what? You don't know what he knows. Next scene, it cuts to Crypto. Now, again, with the reinvention of the characters, you want to make it more gritty, you want to make it more dark, more realistic. Now, Crypto's usually a white dog, but that is too clean, so I made him brown here. He's dirty, he's gritty, he's been playing in the mud. Crypto, he's real, he's for today's time. And he's like, Wolf, yo, playa, right? Talking like the kids. Kids are gonna love that. And the Superman's like, yo, sup, dog? Super daps. See, that I don't even need to explain that. That's just important. And then the dog's like, you got an invitation, Holmes. And this an invitation cuts to the invitation because kids need to see the exact invitation so they know what's going on. It says, Luthor is a good guy now. Come celebrate. For reals? And then the dog is watching the Jersey Shore because, kids can relate to the Jersey Shore. And he's like, IDK, sure, why not? See, he doesn't care. Crypto's a dog. He doesn't care about human actions. And Superman's like, I need a present because you can't go to a party without a present. He goes to the Hall of Presents. Notice the dark wall screen windows, I guess. Yeah, in the Hall of Presents. And here he is looking at Krypton. See, Brainiac has stolen Krypton. He's taking it back and he's looking at it. And he says, it's perfect. Because Superman is all about sacrifices. He's willing to give up his home world of Krypton in order to give it to Lex Luthor. It's amazing. And then at the party, so Superman's flying up. He's like, yo, this club is bumping. And then he goes to the bodyguard. And he's like, bodyguard's like, name. And Superman realizes it's Doomsday. And he's like, yo, Doomsday, it's me, Superman. Doomsday's like, oh man, Superman. He's like, tch. And then Doomsday daps, you see, because the super daps, Doomsday daps, you need that. And then Superman walks into the club, but it's empty. What? The club is empty. It's all a setup. Lex Luthor comes down from the ceiling. Some a mechanized machine brings him down from the ceiling. Superman sees him, and classic Superman, he says, Lex, you douche. Yeah, classic. And then they proceed to fight. Lex Luthor jumps from his platform, flying kicks. Superman flies at him. And epic battle ensues. There is an explosion when the fist and the foot meet. And then it cuts to a letterbox, right? Classic Japanese kind of samurai flick. And Lex Luthor says, you're good, Superman. And then Superman says, so are you, Lex? Yeah! Then there's a huge ray battle. Lex Luthor shooting from his chest, Superman from his eyes. Because it really shows the kind of power that the two have. And that's important, I feel. Atomic explosion outside the club. It's rubble. Doomsday is pretty much dead. And then it cuts to Lex Luthor, and he's like, hey, Superman. Superman's like, yeah. Lex Luthor says, can we stop and get cake? Superman says, yeah, we can. Because stories, no matter what happens, needs a positive ending. And here we have everybody enjoying cake. You have Brainiac at the top. He's saying, well done, Superman. You have Doomsday off in the right here, just hanging out, resurrected from the dead. And Crypto off to the left, just chilling, probably thinking of Jersey Shore. And then you have a cake, because, kids love cake. And that's what you need. You need stuff that kids love, and you need to do it well. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a better writer, but I could show you a thing or two when it comes to writing for kids, writing about kids, you know, getting paid as a comic writer. Because, I mean, you really need to cater to your audience. You know, you gotta know who your audience is, cater to them. Well, thank you for watching, and hopefully this revolutionizes everything that you thought about comic writing.